Hey guys, this is KFS and today you join me for another episode of Subscriber Designs, just the normal version this week. And we start with the obligatory VTOL, but this VTOL's pretty cool. This is a Lambda class shuttle, sent to me by Timur. Timur? I don't know, I'm gonna, it's slightly hard to pronounce, so I'm gonna fail, I'm sorry. But, yeah, so this is from Star Wars. It is the Lambda class shuttle, which you use for shuttling around all of the important people to the important places, and when they take off, they fold up their wings all daintily like. Oh no, that's when they land, so this should be, yeah, but obviously you can't, it's pretty hard to make folding wings in KSP, especially in stock, although I think it is possible. But anyway, enough rambling, we need to get this in the air, although it does need to have, according to the email, infinite fuel and unbreakable joints on, so it doesn't fully work, but that's fine. So infinite propellant and unbreakable joints. Yes, usually when you build something very aesthetic, especially based on sci-fi stuff, it doesn't actually kind of work practically, so I totally get that. I still think it's really cool. So yeah, let's take this off, we'll throttle it up. It's got, luckily, it's got rocket-powered VTOLs, which makes all of this much easier, because you don't have to wait for it to throttle up and all that bullshit. It does tip a little bit when you're taking off, but it's actually pretty nice. We'll pull in the landing gear. Oh, I see. This is a little thruster down here. That's pretty cool. And we also have RCS, so I guess I can use that as well, which makes it super easy. Cool. Right. Anyway, the rear thrusters are activated like this. I'm not actually sure what the engines look like on one of these. Okay. Oh, don't turn the RCS off. That's a bad idea. I'm not actually sure what the engines look like on a real, well, a real-ish Lambda class shuttle. But I'm going to assume this is a good rendition. I just like it, because I mean the front looks pretty nice, it just looks pretty good. And it's a VTOL. We love our obligatory VTOLs here at Subscriber Design. Saying that like it's a company, like Subscriber Designs Incorporated, that'd be great. Just fly other people's spacecraft all day. I mean that is basically what this company is. Anyway, let's go and land this. It's flying really well. It's much, yeah, build me rocket VTOLs from now on. None of this jet bullshit. Makes it way harder to do. Anyway, yes, let's come in for landing. We can use backwards RCS. Wow, this is just super good. You know, I know like people build beautifully nuanced like aircraft, but all of that sucks. It's much better when it's just easy. And this probably would glide. I don't know how well this would fly. Actually, from what I can glean, it just sort of tips forward. But I'm just trying to VTOL this right now, because that's how it lands, that's how it flies. It's a spacecraft, not an aircraft. It looks like you actually probably could get some people inside here, but it probably wouldn't. They probably wouldn't stay there. But that might be more fun. You never know. Right, let's start throttling up a little. Ooh, okay. Okay. Oh wow, this is landing really daintily. The real shuttle actually lands pretty daintily. The Lambda class shuttle, obviously not our Earth space shuttle. That landed kind of just about. I know, I always thought this landing looked quite nice, even though it was a pretty horrible aircraft. And there we go, landed perfectly. Nothing broke, and everything is fine. So yes, that is the Lambda class Lambda class shuttle. It's really cool, and it VTOLs very nicely. So thank you to Timur once again for that. That was really cool. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing today. So the next thing we're looking at is the KFS Spindle. This comes to me from Alpha Antares, and it is a giant interplanetary starship, well, spaceship. I doubt it could go to other stars. But yes, this is post-commentary because the lag was insane, this footage just sped up. But yeah, this is a massive freaking spaceship. You saw I just deployed the radiators right there. Had a bit of lag when I accidentally looked at all of the oxidizer. And you can see how slowly those solar panels are deploying, but those match up in between that little ring. Yes, it's quite a nice looking spaceship. It's got this giant central kind of column of fuel tanks, and at the bottom it has a bunch of Rockomax engines, and I think some Mammoth engines? I was thinking of maybe taking it somewhere, but I gave up on that after I saw the lag. And you can see on the outside as well, it also has a bunch of nuclear engines, so it could probably go anywhere in the system if I were patient enough. The main thing I like about this, though, is kind of that central kind of ring thing. You can't really see it right now. I'm just changing where it's controlled from because it's at a bit of a slant for some reason. So if we control from here, it should point correctly. But yeah, there's a couple of rings in the middle there, and then these beams that go up across them. You'll get a better view of it in a little bit, but you can see how that looks, and I really, really do like how this looks. There are some kind of slightly janky edges, but I just think it looks really nice, and I do love these massive starships, and this is 1800 parts, so that's why this is post-commentary. It was running at about 1 frame a second. You're seeing it as something sort of nice. Anyway, you can see though how slowly the engines fire up as I, well, throttle up very slowly to see if I can get anywhere. I was planning on just taking this out to the sun, or well, out to a solar orbit. I wasn't really thinking I'd get it anywhere because, well, I'm not in the right place. But it turned out that it would have taken probably hours to do that because it was about 1 frame a second, and the thrust-to-weight ratio on this, despite the 2 mammoth engines, loads of Rocket Max engines, and trillions of, I assume trillions of nuclear engines, it didn't really have the thrust-to-weight ratio to get anywhere, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, it is pretty nice, although I think it's largely not entirely aesthetic. I mean, it would work, but it doesn't have any kind of method of turning, so you kind of have to wait for it to just sort of turn, I guess, because you can't really turn it manually. You probably could over a very long period of time, but then you'd probably have moved out of the place you need to be, so yeah. But still, you can get a nice look of this now. It does look rather beautiful. There's 2 big rings kind of surrounded by these, I don't know, they're just these little fuel tanks. They look, it's a really nice effect. It's kind of, I don't know, it kind of gives a shape to the spacecraft really nicely. And then you can see the nuclear engines are attached by these beams, and it just, I don't know, I just really like this. I thought it was really cool, and I do love my big starships, and I wish I could have taken this somewhere really, because that would have been rather great. But you can see after all that burning, we've raised our apoapsis very little, and I didn't want to be just leaving this for an hour because I had other things to do. But yeah, I also do especially like the solar panel thing. I think that looks really cool, and you can see this kind of, yeah, you know, you can see how cool it looks, and I think it's really awesome. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing now, because I've talked enough about how beautiful this is. But yeah, 1800 parts is a little rough. So yes, the next thing is another interplanetary starship sent to me by Alpha Antares. Yes, he made 2. I don't know how you have this kind of time, man. I mean, it's pretty crazy. This is about 1700 parts, so again, probably won't be taking it anywhere, especially since it only uses nuclear engines. But it's really nice looking. It's very long, and it has this big kind of dish at the end, which you can't really see right now, but I hyper-edited it into orbit of the sun at some point, so we'll get a better look of that. But this, what was the description of this? Oh, it's apparently a nuclear crew transport which can carry 1,330 Kerbal somewhere, which is pretty impressive. Doubt I'd ever need to do that, but it's still nice to know we could do it. The other one could carry, I think, about 400 people, but this is a crew transport. You can see most of these big kind of extremities are kind of crew capsules. So, yeah, you could put a lot of people in there. And the really nice thing is it has this massive dish on the end, but we can't really see it because it's facing Kerbal, and once again it doesn't really have any method of turning, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe it does, but probably not on my computer. So anyway, I'm just going to set this to an orbit around the sun within Moho's orbit. I set my semi-major axis really low and was like, that'll be fine. And it was like, you can't do that, man. That's in the sun. I was like, okay. Anyway, yes, you've got this giant dish at the front, and I think it looks really cool. I guess that's for communicating really long distance. Maybe this is an interstellar, yeah, there we go, interstellar starship. Maybe it's like Mass Effect Andromeda. It's heading somewhere, but it needs to communicate with it. Although surely in Mass Effect you wouldn't want to communicate with people on Earth, because isn't Earth full of bad guys? Anyway, that's beside the point. Again, it's one of these very beautifully crafted things. It's very big, so there are going to be some little janky things. But my favorite little bit of this again is kind of the mount behind the dish. You can see these beams leading up made out of wing surfaces, and they're kind of beautifully curved and beautifully shaped. I tried to see what's inside this kind of backing to the dish, but it turns out it's nothing, just made out of wing surfaces. Again, not a massively functional thing, but I do just love it, and you can see the ring of solar panels and radiators there also looking rather awesome. Again, this is sped up because, you know, very, very, very laggy. But yes, anyway, that is just a quick look at that. I wish I could have done more with these ships, really. It would have been cool, but I just wanted to kind of feature them and show them off as best I could. But this is the end of the video now. A bit of a shorter one, just because I was looking at some cool things. Next week there'll be another normal subscriber designs. We'll probably look at more things than that. The last two I haven't really looked at a lot of people's craft, but most of the craft I get sent now are for Fighter Jet Showdown, really. But anyway, thank you to Alpha and Terry's and to Timor for both of these. These were really cool. Well, for all of these were really cool and really fun to look at, even if the last two I couldn't do a ton with. It's just amazing to see some of the creations people do. Well, people make in KSP. But anyway, I do hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you want to go check out a couple more videos now, there's my own crazy invention I did a few days ago, a 2-kilometer long space station about as many parts as these craft, and there's also my most recent episode of Prison Architect Super Max. There's also links to my Twitter, Twitch, and Patreon in the description if you're interested, but as always, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been KFS with Tape. I will see you next time.